Hello, hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Chelsea J Experience. And I am so excited to answer another question that was recently submitted. So let's go ahead and pull that up. All right, this one is from Crystal T, and it is all about the qualities of a good manager. Hi, Chelsea. I'm interested in pursuing a management role. I think I'd be great at it, but there are also things that I know I need to work on. What would you say are must have qualities of being a good manager? I love this question because it is actually my specialty. I am a leadership development coach, so I work one on one and with groups and with companies to really help build leaders so that they are transformational and that they create healthy, inclusive, and engaging work environments. So I love this question. Thank you so much for submitting it. First of all, I have to commend you for saying you know that there are things that you need to work on. And that is huge to me. So I will say, as a bonus, just being self aware shows that you have the potential to be a good leader because you need to know what you struggle with and what you're good at. Because the things that you struggle with, you are going to have to actively seek out ways to improve on those things and constantly get feedback so that you are becoming better and better and better. The trouble with management these days is a lot of professionals believe that you have to go into management in order to make more money. And on the company side, companies believe that if you put your time in and you're somewhere for 15 or 20 years, that automatically puts you in a leadership role. And that's just not the case. And that's why we have so many professionals who are burnt out, stressed, and a lot of toxic work environments because we have people in leadership roles that never should have been there in the first place because they either didn't want to be a leader or they just did it for the money. All right, now that I'm off of my soapbox, let's talk about the 7 qualities of a good leader. Number 1, communication. You need to be an effective and clear communicator. If you have been told in the past that you struggle with communication, or actually, a great way to tell if you struggle with communication is if you notice that whenever you give out directions or you say things to people, if you get responses that you aren't looking for, that probably indicates that you are struggling in an area of communication. And that's something that you need to actively work on. You need to be able to communicate clearly with your team. You need to make sure that they are able to understand what your expectations and intentions are. So, communication is number 1. I would actually tie 2 of these together because they just match perfectly. And I would say flexibility and adaptability. The workplace is constantly changing. Employees are changing. Your employer's expectations are changing. And you need to be able to bend and go with the flow and adapt and just be able to pivot when you need to. And the reason that you need to be able to be flexible and adaptable is because it sets a good example for your team as well. Whenever change happens, often a lot of professionals they get nervous, they get anxiety, they start worrying. You need to be the person at the forefront who is being a shining example of remaining calm and giving them the information that they need and showing them how they can pivot and adjust. You need to be that person for them. And it makes your life easier too, right? Because I always say your employees will feed off of your energy. And if your energy is nervous and scattered and you have lots of anxiety when it comes to changing and being flexible, that's going to transfer down to them and they are going to struggle, which is not needed at all. All right. The next one is you need to be a good listener. Your employees have lots to say, and you need to be able to listen to them, take it in, give them feedback when they need it, or really just be supportive and a listening ear. You also need to be able to read between the lines because sometimes employees are telling you things and they're not being clear. And you need to be able to know when to ask more questions, when to back off, or like I said, when to read between the lines and kind of guess what they mean and verbalize that to them so they can either confirm or deny what they're trying to say. So, being a big listener is key. As a manager, you should be listening more than you are talking. All right, the next one, and this is one of my favorites. You need to get comfortable with being able to manage conflict. Conflict always arises among team members, it never fails. We don't live in a utopia where everybody gets along all the time, but you need to be comfortable with managing that. And that means having hard conversations, being a facilitator sometimes. It will make a huge difference. You need to know when to step in. I have had managers in the past, and I also know managers that I've coached before and we worked on it. But I've had managers in the past when there was any type of conflict, they would stay far in the background or they would tell their employees to handle it. But honestly, everybody can't just handle things on their own. And what happens is it often festers and it gets worse, and your employees end up stressed out. And the next thing you know, you have a toxic team, and sometimes that turns into a toxic environment overall. Nip it in the bud when you can and get comfortable with conflict management. If this isn't something that you're comfortable with, there are so many classes and so many trainings on how to handle conflict. And it's something that you need to practice over and over again so that you can be comfortable and confident when it comes to approaching conflict among your employees. All right, what else do we have here? I would say that you need to be a very strong decision maker. And when I say you're a strong decision maker, you need to be decisive. Your employees, it's important to take in information from them and their thoughts and opinions, but you cannot let everybody sway you from your original decision. If you need to take in the information and they're making valid points, that's a different story. But if you cannot make a decision, a solid decision, and stick to it, the level of trust that your employees have in you is going to diminish. Sometimes respect is going to go down and they're not going to trust your leadership. Make a decision and stick to it. Also, you need to have confidence in your role. I know when you first start a management position, you're trying to figure things out and you're wondering if you're doing the right thing and you're trying to impress everyone. But you need to know that you have the best intentions and you're well equipped to do the job. You wanted this job. So you need to be confident in it. When you are confident in what you do, it shows and your employees will trust you more and they will actually be excited to work with you. If you show that you have a lot of insecurities and you're nervous and you're hesitant, it's going to put your employees on defense, which is not good because they won't trust you. And next thing you know, you have people walking all over you. And that's the last thing you want. Trust me. Finally, you need to be a good problem solver. This goes along with like being flexible and adaptable. You need to be able to look at a situation, be able to adapt to it and come up with a solution and figure out how you are going to solve the problem. And as a manager, you will have a lot of them and your employees will be looking to you for direction. And you cannot take days and weeks to figure something out. You need to be able to problem solve. And it's also really helpful if you are one of those people who is a big picture thinker and can zoom out and see an issue for what it is and think about some of the consequences and the different avenues that you can take. Either way, you need to be a good problem solver. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I missed anything. I think those were my seven tips and seven qualities for being a good manager. I hope that that was helpful for you. And if you have any ideas of must have qualities for a good manager, make sure to leave them below in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm sure everyone else would too, so that they can become amazing managers. All right, I am looking forward to the next episode. Again, if these videos help you and you want to donate to my mission and my content creation, I will leave a donate button below. And if you're not following me on LinkedIn, please make sure to do that. I can be found just through my name, which is Chelsea J. And if you haven't signed up for my blog yet, please make sure to do that because I send out weekly articles and deals and promotions to really help you thrive in your career. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.